Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, in the face of COVID-19, Indiana boasts record economic development numbers. An Indy furniture company looks to design a post-COVID work environment. A pharmaceutical giant is making a major investment. Another Indiana company plays its role in vaccine distribution. Pacers fans are finally returning to Bankers Life Fieldhouse. And Purdue University pulls off record freshman enrollment despite pandemic problems. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. Despite the upheaval that COVID-19 brought on in 2020, economic development in Indiana didn't seem to miss a beat. In fact, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation called 2020 a record-breaking year, with 282 commitments from companies to locate or grow in the state. Indiana Secretary of Commerce Jim Schellinger joined Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick with a breakdown of the numbers.
I mentioned those numbers. Those are big numbers for any year, of course, but surprising, I think most would say, in the age of the pandemic to still get those numbers. What really drove that? There were a lot of big deals, one of them late in the year, the Elanco expansion, a new corporate headquarters in downtown Indianapolis, likely investment around the state of Indiana too, but there were a lot more as well.
Well, first of all, you have to credit the leadership of Governor Holcomb and certainly the leadership in both chambers, whether it be Speaker Todd Houston or Senate Pro Temp Bray. Just great leadership. And under the Holcomb administration, we will do a lot of things. But I can't tell you, Gary, and you know this better than anybody, how proud we are of the businesses in Indiana, the homegrown businesses that have stepped up and continue to have faith in our state, the businesses that are headquartered outside of Indiana, but in the other 49 states that are investing in our state, either expanding or coming, and certainly the foreign direct investment expansion and attraction. It's been a team effort. Our guys are the best there are at IDC. The entire team, soup to nuts, are just fantastic people that know how to block and tackle. It's that simple.
And these decisions are made with companies really forward-looking, obviously, 3 years, 5 years beyond making these decisions. So while the pandemic is certainly happening now as we speak, as they look longer term, that weighs into their decision.
Well, I'd say we were a little surprised by this fourth record-breaking year in some ways, but not in others. So we set the job count, as you just mentioned, and we set payroll new record, $1.8 billion in this last year. But I think it goes back to just the different industries having faith in our state. And as you said, the time horizon for a business is much longer than you would for your health. If you're sick, you go to the hospital or doctor. But the businesses are planning for 24, 25. We have some big announcements coming up. We currently have about 42 projects in the pipeline, of which 22 offers have been made. Usually when we make offers, at that point, we have about an 80% track record of winning those projects. And we have big projects happening, 7,200 new jobs, $2.5 billion in CapEx that we're starting the year out with. And we've already broke 1,000 jobs this year. And we want to continue to keep our wage at that 28 plus, which we did last year, 28.13. The year before set the record at 28.60. So we're just very proud of all the different teams. And we have projects, significant projects happening in every single one of the 6 regions, whether it be central Indiana, northwest Indiana, north central Indiana, northeast, southwest, and southeast. Every one of those regions have a lot of job activity.
So again, Jim, you're saying that the pipeline already in 2021 is beginning to fill up, including the potential soon perhaps for major manufacturing announcement.
Yeah, we've got 3 of them that are going to happen, 2 in north central Indiana, 1 in southwest, that are really significant projects, some of the largest projects we've ever had. And we're in the final discussions with those companies. And in some cases, we're waiting on an announcement to be had. Yeah. So we're excited about that. But whether it's recycle business or an automobile industry or the RV industry, as you can imagine, Gary, is extremely hot right now with the virus and people wanting to get outside. Outdoor furniture equipment, just huge in terms of what they're doing. But we also have life sciences and agrobiosciences, logistics, and IT. I mentioned our project you covered many years ago, Emphasis. Emphasis now is the #1 IT company in the world, hiring at a #1 rate for an IT company right here in Indianapolis.
Yep, major operation near the old Indianapolis International Airport. Jim, I want to talk to you about the Next Level Regional Recovery Program. Governor Holcomb talked about that for a bit in a State of the State address this week, kind of modeled in a sense, I guess, like the Regional Cities Initiative. What is this Regional Recovery Program? What's it all about? How do you see it impacting communities around the state?
Well, the governor's been looking at this for quite some time now. And of course, it's all dependent upon how the legislative session goes this year and a budget year. And if we're financially in a position to do it, the governor's committed to doing it. There hasn't been an amount set yet, but it's going to be a significant amount, as was last time. Modeled by regional cities, but a little bit different because of the fact that we got a lot of recovering to do yet. And he mentioned the name Next Level Regional Recovery. That's the name for now. It's likely to change. But it's about getting the places back on track per his plan. So it's a little bit different than regional cities, but we want it to be focused on quality of place where businesses want to be, and they want to be at those places because there's good health services, there's good everything, good places to live, work, play, and stay. And so it'll be a lot like regional cities, but with a twist to make sure that we're helping communities that have been struck hard by COVID to make a recovery to those setbacks.
Yeah, so you sense this program, if it does come to fruition, would also include rural areas around the state and kind of out in the non-urban areas, if you will, some of these areas that have been struggling certainly for some time.
Yeah, regional cities, ultimately, we awarded three $42 million grants to North Central, Northeast, and Southwest. But shortly thereafter, we gave funding to North Central, East Central, West Central, Southeast eventually, and then the double tracking and the West Lake Corridor expansion up in Lake County, a little bit different project. But every region got funding, and that means we want every county to be a part of it. And that's why they need to look at things as a region and not as a given city or a county. And they've done an exemplary role. And I can't wait to work with all the leadership in those regions, because this is a game changer, and especially at this time.
All right, Jim Schellinger, Indiana's Secretary of Commerce, certainly looking forward to covering more stories ahead in 2021. Jim, as always, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Gary.
All right.
Indianapolis-based Furniture and Choreo is looking ahead to a post-COVID-19 work environment. The idea behind its Mindset business venture is to bring the comforts of working from home into the office. Chief Executive Officer Mary Beth Oakes joined us with details.
Mary Beth, welcome as always.
Hey, thank you, Gary. We are so excited to have this opportunity to share. So Mindset, the original idea, the original notion was to create a space that really shifted the mindset so that we were helping organizations to create spaces where people really do come together to share ideas, to share information, to innovate, to be creative. And then what happened, right? As a result of the pandemic, right, we had another opportunity to take it one step farther and really think about what kind of spaces do people need as they come back from working from home. Most employees say they want to come back to better, right? So these spaces are all about those creature comforts of home, lots of light, comfort, warmth, just a different kind of experience that's similar to what you get when you're working from home. A feeling that's less corporate, right? So kind of a softer, warmer feel. And that's what we're trying to help organizations to create. So this space is all about walking into this space and experiencing that, right? And figuring out how to incorporate that into your own work environment so that your employees feel like they're coming back to better.
Yeah, and you mentioned this, but you looked at a lot of data, a lot of research, and it shows Steelcase, more than half of the people surveyed said they maybe want to work from home for a day or two, but they want to get back in the office. There's the real feeling to get back into that office and connecting with people, and that again is what this new concept really focuses on.
It does foster that. And Steelcase, our partner globally, they did a study with more than 30,000 employees since last March. And overwhelmingly, people do want to come back to the office. I don't think it's ever going to be business as usual again, where everybody's in the office 5 days a week. Most employees do want flexibility. They want to be able to work from home a day or two a week. But when they come to the office, they want it to feel a certain way, and they want to be able to connect easily with other people. They want to have places to go for focus that maybe they can't get in their home office. So they have some very specific needs, but they do want to come back. They miss that energy that you can only really get from other human beings.
Yeah, and you mentioned that efficient use of space, all the things you focus on, but also the safety piece is important in this post-COVID era.
Safety is huge. That's the number one thing I think that most employees are concerned about. They want to come back to a safe environment. And that can mean social distancing, or that could mean better ventilation. But they want to come back to a safe environment where they know that they feel like they can do their best work because they're safe. So they're looking for those safe and compelling kind of spaces and really coming back to better than what they left back last March. Better technology, just better spaces, better opportunities for interaction. Lots of ideas around better, what back to better look like.
All right. New concept, mindset from Business Furniture and Corio and Mary Beth Oakes. Thanks so much for joining us. I know the space is in downtown Fishers, where there's a lot going on right now. You're right in the heart of things going on in Fishers. This space will open up in March. We look forward to taking a visit here in a couple months.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much.
All right.
There's a new leader at the helm of Indianapolis's largest certified public accounting firm, and he's not a CPA. However, Tim Cook is no stranger to building brands and driving revenue. Kat Sapper & Miller's new CEO came on the show to talk about his new job and give perspective on Indiana's economic outlook for this year.
I was going to ask you, what's a non-CPA guy doing in the leadership role there at Kat Sapper & Miller? But actually, as I delved into it a little bit more, non-CPAs is kind of a bit of a trend in the accounting world.
Yeah, Katz has got such a phenomenal reputation. We're a great audit firm. We've got a phenomenal tax expertise that we've done for a long time. So we're going to continue to do those things really well and improve in those areas. But in addition to that, as we look to the future, it's also about expanding the types of services that we provide and providing different kinds of solutions to our clients and just trying to serve them as broadly as we can. And so that will be definitely a core focus of ours in the coming years.
Yeah, Tim, you were elected to the CEO role pre-pandemic. You're taking over, obviously, as we continue in the midst of this pandemic. Yours is a challenging role in any environment, but when you throw the pandemic in there, how has that been, or is that handling those challenges and those dynamics?
Yeah, it's a great question. David and I went through this transition over about an 18-month period. And one of the benefits for me has been just being thrown in the deep end. I've probably had about 5 years of education in 9 months over the last year or so. So that part has been beneficial. But also from the firm's perspective, remote working was something that we were already exploring and starting to embrace, and being able to do that so fluidly and really without missing a beat was a big part of what we've done. And so from those perspectives, it's been a good experience. And, I think KSM's acquitted itself well, and we've been able to kind of hit the ground running and not miss a beat.
Yeah, in your previous role, you're very familiar with economic development projects and activities throughout Indiana and beyond. Tim, as you look ahead in 2021 at Indiana, how do you view the state's position to come out of the pandemic?
Gary, I am really excited about 2021, not just for KSM, but for the state. I think, from a government perspective, I think the governor's done a phenomenal job really trying to prepare us for when we come out of this. I think when you look at our economy, even though it's still got that broad manufacturing bent across the state, we've really tried to pivot to being more of an advanced / technology manufacturing state, as well as just the inroads we've made in the technology sector and some of those higher paying jobs that the city and the state have been focused on for a long time. So I think, once we get past the vaccine period and the economy opens up again, I think Indiana is going to have a fantastic year.
All right, great perspective from Tim Cook, President and CEO at Kat Sapper & Miller. And Tim, it's always great to be with you. Hope we can see each other in person sooner rather than later. Thanks for being here.
Sounds great, Gary. Thank you.
All right.
A subsidiary of French pharmaceutical giant Novartis is making a major investment in central Indiana. Advanced Accelerator Applications plans to build a $72 million production facility at the Purdue Research Park of Indianapolis. General Manager Mark Rossi spoke with Kylie Valletta in the Business of Health.
Okay, AAA specializes in targeted radioligand therapies, which are really on the cutting edge of cancer treatment. Can you explain, first of all, what are radioligand therapies?
Absolutely. Radioligand therapy, or RLT as we refer to it, is a form of targeted precision medicine that combines a targeting compound or drug with a radioactive particle that binds to markers on cancer cells, delivering the radioisotope, which damages and kills the cancer cells.
Okay, very interesting. So this new facility in Indianapolis specifically, the radioligand therapy it will be making is Lutathera, which generated $336 million in the first 9 months of 2020. Really interesting. Once it's manufactured, you only have 72 hours to get it in the patient. Kind of mind-boggling. Can you explain why that fact helped lead you to Indianapolis?
Absolutely, and that's a unique part of the drug in that it has such a short shelf life. In this location, close to the Indianapolis International Airport and the major ground transportation hubs around the facility, ensures that our medicines can be manufactured, packaged, transported, and administered to patients anywhere in North America within 72 hours. For us, that's extremely important in being able to reach patients in a timely manner to deliver the therapy.
Okay, so in addition to geography, also an important business connection that we touched on in the introduction, Novartis acquired Endocyte in 2018. How important was that relationship in AAA's decision to come to Indiana?
It was massively important. Our technology workforce that is part of the Endocyte acquisition really understands radioligand therapy and has a great amount of expertise. They were also extremely embedded into the community in Indiana. And for us, we wanted to expand on that relationship and continue to recruit highly educated and experienced, talented labor force that Indiana has to offer.
And I know Purdue University is an interesting piece of that, too, as far as the nuclear pharmacy program.
They are. They're one of the only pharmacy schools in the country that offers a nuclear pharmacy curriculum to produce authorized nuclear pharmacists. So for us, that ensures a talented workforce that will be specialized in nuclear medicine.
All right. And do you expect in the future that Endocyte's prostate cancer treatment could be manufactured at this facility in Indianapolis when it reaches that point?
It is. Our facility is really focused on manufacturing multiple radioligand therapy products in the future. We'll start with our current Lutathera product and then move on to pipeline and additional products in the future. The facility itself will be able to produce 85,000 doses per year of radioligand therapy in its original configuration, with room to expand in the future.
Okay, so the facility initial investment, $72 million, expected to create about 50 jobs, but you mentioned off camera, that's really just a starting point. Can you explain that?
Well, it is. Our initial facility, we acquired 16 acres. And we're using a small portion of that to build the initial 60,000 square foot facility. We'll have 4 production lines in that, but it was important for us to have the land surrounding it that we could expand beyond those 4 production lines and continue to grow the facility. And we expect to employ up to 90 associates as we get into full swing.
So you're a pharmacist by training. How excited are you just about having this new cutting-edge therapy and others coming in the pipeline to really impact the lives of cancer patients?
It's, for me, my life's mission has been in healthcare. And as a healthcare professional, first and foremost, I put the patients ahead of everything else. So for me, I've dedicated my entire career to nuclear medicine and radiopharmaceuticals. And for me to be participating in the launch of a brand new platform to impact oncology patients is really the pinnacle of my career and making and contributing to making the lives of cancer patients that much better.
All right, and able to even execute this deal amid the pandemic. I know you inked it just as the pandemic was really starting to take its grip. So glad you were able to power through. Welcome to Indiana, and we'll be following you. Thanks for being on the show today.
Glad to be here, and thank you for this opportunity to share our story with your community.
Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. An Indianapolis-based revenue cycle management company is playing a leading role in helping to get the COVID-19 vaccine to Hoosiers. Zotec Partners is partnering with the Indiana Department of Health to track inventory levels and reallocation of the vaccine. Founder and CEO Scott Law came on the show to explain how it works.
Yeah, I think Zotec is a great example. I know Governor Holcomb has talked a lot about Indiana companies stepping up and helping during the course of this pandemic. To tee things up, though, Scott, give us a thumbnail description of your company, Zotec Partners. I know you launched it in 1998 and have had some real success since then.
Well, we started in '98. We're a Hoosier born and bred company. So from the ground up, we started here and have grown the business to where today we do about 120 million medical encounters across the country. We operate in all 50 states, but our headquarters is here and most of our personnel are here. And we're working towards basically making the process of getting medical encounters turned into cash for our physician clients.
Scott, talk about your initial connection with the Indiana State Department of Health in the spring, shortly after the pandemic hit. Your company was impacted by the pandemic in terms of from the business side. Why get engaged and get involved with the state in the fight against the pandemic?
Well, we were obviously with the elective procedures, and once the pandemic started hitting the physician communities that we serve, we were obviously looking for ways to help in any way we possibly could to recover as quickly as possible. So we engaged with the state on using our technology. The problem in healthcare is a lot of different technology platforms exist, but no one source for all of the data that could be achieved or accumulated in order to help this process. So we started with a prevalence study on the testing side of the equation to look at where was the virus, where was it more prevalent in certain counties and certain geographic areas. We statistically developed some capabilities to basically test and market to those people who were randomly selected in order to test and get a statistically valid sample size out of the state of Indiana. And then that was helpful in determining where to put the resources for any potential additional testing, quarantining, or tracing methodologies that were put in place.
Well, and you've really bolstered or enhanced that relationship with the State Department of Health. Now dealing more specifically with the vaccine. Talk about your role there and, in your view, how it's impacting vaccine access distribution.
Well, it's very important that, instead of waiting in line in cars and having it be a first come, first served basis, the state was very, very thoughtful relative to how to notify people that they were eligible for the vaccine, how to make sure that they were scheduled for an appointment, the physical logistics management of the two different vaccines, how to keep the inventory in stock relative to each individual vaccine, whether it would be the first dose or the second dose. It's a complex logistic nightmare, as well as it's also important to make sure that it's easy for the patient to get a scheduled appointment, but more importantly, to be on time when they're there so that they're not standing in line, exposing themselves to the virus or others to the virus as well. And as the logistics of actually thawing the vaccine in time to make sure that you can keep the line moving and keep people very, very quickly through that process.
What's your take, Scott, on how Indiana is positioned when it comes to the vaccine and distribution and that whole process? What, in your view, is really the biggest challenges facing the state right now when it comes to the vaccine?
Well, the state has actually taken a very comprehensive, very thought out approach. Dr. Box and Dr. Weaver are on top of their game compared to some of the states that we've talked to. Obviously, during this process, people get word out that we're helping with the state of Indiana, and they've asked us to help and guide them through other aspects. The biggest problem right now, I think, that the state faces is getting vaccine supplied from the federal government, or what the process is going to be about that. We've proven time and time again that we can handle the volume. The 200 plus locations are set up and ready to go. We can put the shots in the arms for Hoosiers, but we need to get the vaccine. I think that's the biggest challenge they're facing now.
Scott Law, Zotec Partners. Scott, really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and thanks for the work with respect to the pandemic, the vaccine. We'll hopefully talk to you soon in person once we get on the other side of this.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it. Thank you very much, Gary.
All right, Scott.
For the first time in 10 months, fans are returning to Bankers Life Fieldhouse to watch the Indiana Pacers play. When they do, fans will go through high-tech safety measures to keep them safe. Pacer Sports and Entertainment Executive Vice Presidents Mel Raines and Todd Taylor gave details to Bill Benner on Inside Indiana Sports.
Mel, we'll start with you. We had you on early December when Bankers Life was not beginning to host basketball games, no fans, obviously. But now you've had a successful kind of a dry run for basketball with Disney on Ice, with people in the building. And now we get ready to go for basketball. And I know that you've gone overtime to put numerous safety and health protocols in place. Talk about that, please.
Sure, Bill. Yeah, we've been spending several months, our time during construction, getting ready to welcome fans back. From a COVID perspective, we're a cashless facility now, and we have reverse ATMs. If you bring cash, you can get a Visa card to spend here or anywhere else where they take Visa. We are mobile tickets. We have 300 hand sanitizer stations all over the building. We're touchless restrooms. We have signage for social distancing, physical distancing, and we are seating in pods. So you are 6 feet from other guests. And we had really good reviews, and we got some great emails from people who came to Disney on Ice who felt safe, had a good time. We have a 100% mask policy unless you're eating or drinking in your seat. And people were, I think, excited to be here. The kids were really excited to go to a show, you could tell. And it was a really successful weekend and a good dry run for Pacer games.
Todd, I can only imagine the challenges that you personally have faced overseeing ticket sales when there haven't any tickets to sell. But now finally we have that. Talk about the ongoing communications, however, with your fan base, season ticket holders, and some of the outreach that you've done when you haven't been able to invite them into the building.
Sure, absolutely. And it's been certainly a challenge. You know, as Mel pointed out, we had a lot of test runs and a lot of planning and thought. The biggest thing has just been the twists and turns and trying to stay in front of those and really communicate with our fans. You know, first and foremost, we want to make sure that we have a safe environment for them to return to, but it also needs to be fun. We've really built a game experience around more than just basketball. So when you come here, you're really expecting to have a great night and certainly trying to communicate what you need to do to prepare to come here. And then the experience that you can expect has been a little bit of a challenge.
Mel, if you would, I know you've had to work very closely with the NBA, also locally with the Marion County Health Department. Talk about those kinds of conversations that have been ongoing, and again, now that you're ready to welcome fans back.
Absolutely. So we've been collaborating with the NBA and the other 29 teams really since March on reopening plans. And the NBA has given us a pretty thick set of protocols and expectations, which have been helpful guidance. And then we've been working with Dr. Kane the whole way, really since March when we had the Big Ten here. She and her team have been invaluable for us to make sure that what we're doing is safe and we're using all of our best practices. We applied for WELL certification, as we talked about in December, and received that. So it's a certification to show that we're meeting a lot of going above and beyond a lot of the expectations that our fans would have of being back in the building.
Todd, for so many of us, going to games becomes habitual. I mean, it's something we look at the schedule, we make our plans around. We've fallen out of those habits because we've been sitting in front of our great room televisions or our living room televisions and watching games on TV. How do you, again, kind of reestablish that habit that Bankers Life Fieldhouse and the Pacer games are the place to be?
Well, you know, it's interesting, Bill, because I think the bubble or the single site that we finished last season in actually became something that we found to be a positive, and that is people miss the physical experience. You know, obviously the television at home gets better and better, so my concern has always been that someone will prefer to stay in their basement. In reality, I think when they missed it, that wanted to make them return. And I think in some crazy ways, this pandemic has actually helped us with our construction because Mel and her team have done a great job of transforming this building. It's still by far the best in the NBA, but it's even better and more modern. And I think now people are excited to come back and see what we've done to the building. So we have some advantages that other teams don't have. Certainly breaking a habit is difficult in any sort of business, and we hope to re-engage our fans and get them to come back.
Yeah, and Mel, an exciting time this week. You opened the Fieldhouse for the first time to media to let them see the completion of phase one of the renovations. And I know from what I've seen on the video, I mean, it really looks like a building that we're familiar with, but will be totally new in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a labor of love for a few years, getting ready to complete phase one and let people see it. And I think the reaction was really great today from the media that saw it and the fans that have been in so far. And it's only going to get better. We have 2 more phases, and we're going to be touching every area of the building and then the new plaza. And we just can't wait for people to see it.
Well, Mel Raines, Todd Taylor from Pacer Sports Entertainment, we certainly appreciate you being on the program today. We wish you the best going forward. Hopefully the Pacers can continue to build on the good start that they've had, and we can't wait to get to the Fieldhouse. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bill.
And finally this week, about a year ago, Purdue University launched a marketing brand called the Persistent Pursuit of the Next Giant Leap. The pandemic forced the university to adapt its message, and it ended up attracting its largest freshman class in history. Purdue Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications, R. Ethan Braden, joined us to talk about how his team pulled it off.
Those are big national awards, very competitive, a lot of people involved. It's quite a coup to receive those. First of all, just your reaction to getting that recognition for these campaigns.
Well, they were a tremendous honor, obviously, and a huge affirmation to a lot of hard work, a lot of persistence, a lot of care from a lot of people around here. But I have to note that I'm a spoiled marketer. At the end of the day, it starts with an incredible product, and that is Purdue University, a place, the number 5 most innovative university in America per U.S. News and World Report, actually hopping Stanford this year. The number 9 public institution in the United States. The state of Indiana is only one. So we've got an incredible story to tell. We've got an incredible commitment to affordability, accessibility, and value here with 10 years of straight tuition freezes. And at the end of the day, we have incredible people. I've got a board that's supportive of building this marketing engine that Purdue deserves. The same goes for President Daniels and our CFO. And at the end of the day, we've built a marketing team and a marketing community that's really cultivated, excited, and united around ditching random acts of marketing and instead being very strategic towards compelling and consistent messaging to really delight our target audiences. So it's an incredible honor, but like anything, like Boilermakers, we put our head back down and get back to work, and there's a lot of work to be done, and most importantly, a focus on protecting Purdue.
Well, let's talk about that. You mentioned the affordability issue, a key component, I know, of the marketing initiative. But you launched this really broad-based university-wide campaign about a year ago. Ultimately, it resulted in the largest freshman class in the school's history.
That's correct. I mean, there's many to thank and many that contribute, but at the end of the day, the fall was very powerful for us after many months of consternation of wondering how things were going to go, especially during the pandemic. But we stuck to our guns. We stuck just like a Matt Painter basketball team. We stuck to our playbook, really from the moment the pandemic hit through August, in telling those young men and women and their families exactly for what Purdue stands for, what they would experience. And so it was important during that period to stay committed, to stay consistent, to stay compelling, and recruit, again, as you said, the largest freshman class we've experienced.
Yeah. Talk about the challenges. A number of marketing people certainly are watching this show on a weekly basis. As you looked at it from a marketing perspective and addressing the pandemic, certainly Purdue, and I think Mitch Daniels was among the first university presidents, I think, in the country to say, hey, we're going to be back in business. We're going to welcome students back on campus. And a lot of people, I'm sure, were doubtful of that happening. From a marketing perspective, what were the things you really had to consider?
Yeah, I mean, all kudos to President Daniels from the very beginning. He was the tip of the spear, but he's guided by science and he's guided by his experts. But when the charge was there, the charge was really about create me a movement, create us an initiative that creates changes in some instances and reinforces the attitudes, the beliefs, behaviors that we're going to need on a campus every day of 50,000 individuals to protect themselves, to protect others, and to protect this Purdue community, particularly the most vulnerable, as it pertains to living our mission and being open here and doing it safely. So we really activated the campus the way that we saw during the 150th anniversary. We took a lot of keys and cues from it. We used the Disney principle that in Disney, you can only walk 30 feet before you see a trash can. Well, here, I only want you to walk 30 feet, nothing more, before you see a reminder of how to protect yourself, protect somebody else, or protect Purdue so that we can do this successfully, but that we can do this safely. So it's been a great marketing, but in particular, change initiative movement. And it's really bolstered by 200 student ambassadors as well. I have to hit them, that they are the change agents, the positive reinforcements across campus that are really making this possible.
Yeah, I only have about 30 seconds left, Ethan, but I assume those the messaging around safety and those types of things will be with us for the foreseeable future, right?
Yeah, it's all around the behaviors that we need, the hand washing, the social distancing, the de-densifying. We need those behaviors on a daily basis. We need them to be known and saturate and taken seriously, so that we can continue to operate safely and successfully. So that messaging is online. It's all over campus. It's all over our community now, and it's been well embraced as what we must do here to protect Purdue.
Ethan Braden is Senior VP of Marketing and Communications at Purdue University. Ethan, thank you very much for joining us. And again, congratulations on some really prestigious recognition. We'll talk to you soon.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.